So, picture this. What if you built this incredible, thriving economic utopia, but there was nobody there to actually see it? Today, we're diving into a really fascinating story from the game The Trail. It's about a player whose ethical empire makes us ask a pretty deep question. What's the real point of our actions if we might be the only one watching?
Okay, this one quote, it's the key to, well, to everything. This is the guiding principle of the player we're about to meet. It's not about making the most profit or beating the competition. Nope. It's all about ethics, about community, and about fairness in every single little interaction. You got to keep this in mind because it makes what we find out later just so much more powerful. All right, let's meet the persona at the very heart of this story, EverStore. Now, this isn't just some random player name, it is a carefully built identity, a whole character constructed around the idea of being the most fair, the most community-minded trader on the entire frontier.
Now, what's so cool about this is that it lays out a complete economic philosophy. Seriously, EverStore isn't just, playing a game. She's role-playing an ideal. It's about creating real, tangible value, not just flipping items for a quick buck. It's about making sure the whole town thrives and that no one gets left behind. I mean, this is a vision of a totally collaborative utopian economy where trust is the real currency.
This all sounds amazing, right? A bustling frontier town, all built on trust and people helping each other out. But now we have to pull back the curtain a little bit and ask some hard questions about the world EverStore actually lives in.
So this entire ethical system, this whole persona, it's all based on the idea of serving a real living community. The goal is to build a better world for all the other pioneers and traders out there, to create lively marketplaces and busy town squares.
But what if that community isn't really there? What if the one who stands before you isn't who you think they are? Yeah, this is where our story takes a really sharp and, honestly, fascinating turn.
And boom, this is the big reveal. According to the data from Steam charts, for years now, the average number of people playing the trail at any given moment has been in the single digits. This isn't a bustling frontier, it's a virtual ghost town.
So here's the crucial part. All of EverStore's fair trades, her entire community-first philosophy, it's all being performed for an audience of AI bots. The game is designed to create this powerful illusion of a social world, and that totally changes everything. Her journey goes from being a public performance to this deeply personal, private exercise. She's not building a reputation, she's building a version of herself. So, how in the world does the game pull this off so convincingly? It's pretty clever. Let's break down the game mechanics that create this really compelling but ultimately solitary economic simulation.
The game itself is built on a really simple, elegant loop. You walk, you gather stuff, you craft that stuff into more valuable items, and then you trade them. This loop makes every single player engage with the economy just to survive, to fix your tools, get food. This is the very foundation that EverStore's entire empire is built on. At the heart of the trading system is this conveyor belt auction. Items just roll by and their prices drop and drop until they fall into a shredder and just disappear. It's designed to be stressful, to make you make these super fast decisions. On the surface, it seems like the kind of system that would totally discourage thoughtful, ethical trading. But, and this is the genius part, players found a workaround. By starting a craft, you could pause that frantic timer indefinitely. This is a classic example of what we call emergent gameplay. Players finding these unintended ways to play. This one simple trick transformed the trading from a high-stress reaction test into a calm, strategic puzzle, which is what allowed the thoughtful EverStore persona to even exist in the first place. This little trick also unlocks this really powerful psychological journey. See, early in the game, you're living in what you could call an economy of fear. Every single coin, or chit as they're called, is spent just to survive. But as you master the system, like EverStore did, you graduate to an economy of freedom. Suddenly, money isn't about avoiding failure anymore. It's a tool for choice, for contribution, and for building a world of abundance. Okay, so we've talked about the philosophy, we've talked about the game mechanics. Now let's look at the numbers. Because the data here doesn't just tell a story, it paints this incredible quantitative biography of a master artisan hard at work. This one number, to me, is the most stunning statistic of them all. Just think about this for a second. For every single item this player picked up, every twig, every stone, and there were over 19,000 of them, they ultimately generated an average of 8,872 kits of value.
That's not just trading, that's alchemy. It's pure methodical value creation on a scale that is just mind-boggling. I mean, just look at this data. Over 173 million cholts in profit, an average of 1.5 million cholts for every single trade win. This isn't just a player who's good at the game. The numbers completely confirm the entire story we've been telling: a methodical worker, an expert artisan, and a master strategist who turns the simplest things into extraordinary wealth. The persona and the data, they line up perfectly.
So what do you even call a player like this? The standard models of player types don't really fit. So we're proposing a new archetype, the Steward. This is a player whose main motivation is the health of the system itself. They take care of the ecosystem, even a simulated one, because they want to create lasting prosperity for everyone in it.
And this brings us to our final, and I think most important point. What does all of this mean? Why pour so much ethical energy and masterful skill into a world that's basically populated by ghosts and AI?
Well, here's the thing. The game basically becomes a sandbox for identity. The fact that the community was an illusion doesn't make EverStore's actions meaningless. If anything, it makes them more meaningful. It was a private space to model, to test, and to actually live out a personal economic philosophy, completely free from the judgment or influence of other people.
And there is a kind of community here, but it's asynchronous. Players contribute items to a shared town, and those upgrades stick around forever. So a new player who shows up months or even years later will benefit from the work that EverStore did. It's like leaving a legacy for future settlers. It's a really profound act of faith, building a better world for a community that might never even show up.
And that brings us to our final thought. We know this player's next persona is named Golden Vault. So, if EverStore was all about the dynamic creation and flow of wealth, what kind of philosophy does a Golden Vault represent? Maybe it's about protecting that wealth, about security, about safeguarding value. It's a fascinating next chapter in one player's very quiet, very solitary quest for meaning.